page 581, 580, 582, page 581, 583, 582, 584, 585, 586, 585, 586, 589, 588, 589, 590, 592, page 591, 3, 592, 4, 593, 5, 596, 597, 598, 599, 598, 599, page 600, 602, page 603, 604, 605, 604, 607, 606, 8, 607, 609, 610, 609, 611, 610, 612, page 611, 614, 613, 615, 614, 616, 615, 617, 616, 617, 618, 621, 622, page 621, 3, 624, 625, 624, 626, 625, 7, 626, 629, 628, 629, 632, page 631, 634, 635, 636, 635, 636, 639, 648, 639, 641, 640, 642, page 643, 644, 645, 644, 645, 646, 647, 648, 649, 651, 650, 652, page 653, 654, 655, 654, 655, 656, 657, 658, page 659, 662, page 661, 662, 663, 664, 665, 666, 667, 678, page 679, 672, page 671, 672, 673, 674, 675, 676, 677, 678, 679, 681, 680, 682, 683, 681, 684, 682, 685, 683, 686, 684, 687, 685, 688, 686, 689, 687, 689, 688, 699, 690, 691, 692, 693, 694, 697, 695, 696, 697, 698, 699, 701, 702, 703, 704, 705, 706, 707, 710, 708, 709, 712, 711, 712, 713, 714, 715, 7, 16, 7, 17, 7, 18, 7, 19, 7, 20, 7, 21, 7, 22, 7, 23, 7, 24, 7, 25, 7, 26, 7, 29, 7, 28, 7, 79, 7, 32, 731, 732, 733, 734, 735, 736, 739, 738, 739, 740. 743, 741, 744, 742, 745, 743, 744, 745, 748, 746, 747, 748, 749, 750. Page 751, 752, 753, 754, 755, 756, 757, 758, 759, 760. Page 761, 762, 765, 763, 764, 765, 768, 769, 768, 769, 770. Page 771, Distinguished Senator, page 771, Distinguished Senator Gombe South, BK Amos.
Thank you, Mr.
Gombe
President.
South.
Distinguished colleagues. Thank you, Mr. President. Distinguished colleagues. My name is Senator B.K. Amos. I represent Gombe South. Rise to move that the vote on proceedings of Wednesday, the 20th July 2022 be adopted. I still move. Thank you, sir.
Distinguished Senator George Thompson Sakibo.
My distinguished colleagues, I'm Senator George Thompson Sakibo. I rise to second that the votes and proceedings of Wednesday, 20th July 2022 be adopted.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion that the votes and proceedings prove, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. The two is hereby approved. Announcements. Letter from Mr. President. Dear Distinguished Senate President, confirmation of appointment. In accordance with Section 10, subsection 3A of the Central Bank of Nigeria Establishment Act 2007, I have the pleasure to present the following nominees for confirmation by the Senate for appointment as non-executive directors of the Board of the Central Bank of Nigeria. Chief Whip, I can see there's a conference, maybe in continuation with Beijing. Okay. Speak in low tones. Continue. Number one, Professor Mike Idiahi Obadan, South Zone. Professor Justicia Odinako, Southeast. Professor Umu Ahmed Jalingo, Northeast. Mr. Adiola Adetunji, Southwest. Please accept, Distinguished Senate President, the assurances of my highest consideration. Yours sincerely, Muhammadu Buhari. Another letter from Mr. President. Dear distinguished Senate President, appointment of Commissioner representing the Southeast Zone at the National Hajj Commission of Nigeria. In accordance with the provision of Section 3, Subsection 2 of the Hajj Commission Act, Cap 321, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, I write to forward for confirmation by the Senate the appointment of Dr. Suleiman Akha Afikpo as Commissioner representing Southeast Zone at the National Hajj Commission of Nigeria. Fine, attach a copy of his curriculum vitae. While looking forward for the usual expeditious consideration of the Senate, please accept the single Senate President the assurances of my highest consideration. Yours sincerely, Muhammadu Buhari. Another letter from Mr. President. Dear distinguished Senate President, request for confirmation of the appointment of Honorable Justice Olukayode Ariwola as Chief Justice of Nigeria, pursuant to Section 231, Subsection 1 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria 1999 as amended. I forward for confirmation by the Senate the appointment of Honorable Justice Olukayode Ariwola as Chief Justice of Nigeria. While I hope that the submission will be considered in the usual expeditious manner, please accept the single Senate President the assurances of my highest consideration. Yours sincerely, Muhammadu Buhari. Another letter from Mr. President. Dear distinguished Senate President, confirmation of appointment of 19 resident electoral commissioners for the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC. In accordance with the provisions of Section 154, Subsection 1 of the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria as amended, I am pleased to present for confirmation by the Senate the underlisted names of 19 nominees as resident electoral commissioners appointed for the INEC. 1. Ibrahim Abdullahi, MNI, Adamawa, Obo O Efanga, Cross River, renewal of appointment. Alhaji Umar Ibrahim, Taraba, renewal of appointment. Dr. Agboke Mutiu Olaleke, Ogun State, renewal of appointment. Professor Samuel E. Egu, Kogi State, renewal of appointment. Onyeka Pauline Ugochi, Imo State, new appointment. Professor Muhammad Lawal Bashar, Sokoto State, new appointment. Professor Ayobami Salami, Oyo State, new appointment. Ambassador Zango Abdul Samadu Abdu, MNI, Katsina State, new appointment. Mrs. Queen Elizabeth Agu, Ebonyi State, new appointment. Dr. Agundu Oliver Tasu, Benue State, new appointment. Yomere Gabriel Orisem Lebi, Delta State, new appointment. Professor Yahya Makarfi Ibrahim, Kaduna State, new appointment. Dr. Noura Ali, Kano State, new appointment. Agu Sylvia Uchenna, Enugu State, new appointment. Ahmed Yusha Ugariki, FCT, new appointment. Barrister Hudu Yunusa, MNI, Bochu State, new appointment. Professor Uzochukwu Ikemefuna Chijioke, Anambra State, new appointment. And last but not the least, Mohammed B. Noura, Yobe State, new appointment. The Senate is invited to know that 5 resident electoral commissioners, as presented in the table above, are for renewal of appointments for a second and final term of 5 years, while 14 resident electoral commissioners are for fresh appointments for an initial term of 5 years. The curriculum vitae of the new nominees are attached herewith. While hoping that this submission will receive the usual expeditious consideration of the Senate, please accept the Songo Senate President the assurances of my consideration and personal regards. Yours sincerely, Muhammadu Buhari. Petitions, distinguished Senator Geshambasi.
Thank you, Mr. President. Geshambasi, Cross River South. Mr. President, I have 2 petitions here. The first one is against the unjust treatment meted out in the 2009-2010 upgrade of officers of the Nigerian Customs Service. I would seek to lay these petitions.
Is the petitioner seeking any judicial remedy? Okay, how many petitions there? Okay, go ahead, please.
The second petition is for the reinstatement and payment of entitlements to Police Corporal Ita Edet by the Police Service Commission. The petitioner is seeking no judicial remedy.
May I let the 2 petitions. The petitions are referred to the Committee on Ethics, Privileges and Public Petitions to report back within 4 weeks. Any more petitions? Distinguished Senator Patrick Ayo Akinelure.
Thank you, Mr. President. Distinguished colleagues, my name remains Senator Ayo Akinelure, representing Ondo Central. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, present petitions not laid but referred to the Committee on Ethics from the Office of the President of the Senate. Senate Committee on Ethics, Privileges and Public Petitions, along with Order 41 and 3, which is to present to the Senate some petitions yet to be laid from the Office of the President of the Senate in order to officially place the petition in public domain through the floor of the Senate and for the votes and proceedings to capture the approval for referral. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, it's fine below a summary of petitions received from the Office of the President of the Senate for ease of reference. 1. Malam Shuaibu Haruna Soyi and Comrade Aliyu Ibrahim S. Achiba against the A Awogu Vigilante Group of Atani, Oshushe and Agbakuma in Ogbaru local government area of Anambra State. Subject matter of the petition. Petition on criminal conspiracy, murder, threat to life, terrorist attack, kidnapping and possession of prohibited firearms being perpetrated by the vigilante group of Atani, Aru local government area, A. Awogu and others dreadful court members. 2. Ab Karim A. Manipulation of funds, contract scams, inside dealings, violation of extant procurement laws, and economic sabotage. 3. C.K. Osueke against Nigerian Police Force. A letter of a complaint appeal for intervention of the House of Representatives in the matter between Obiato Community Welfare Union and Muduba, Issue local government area of Imo State and Nigerian Police Force. From Debo Ahmed, Chief John Kekeocha, on behalf of Independent Petroleum Marketers, Chief Bestman, Anna Ekwe, and others. Request for upholding of the Supreme Court judgment, Petroleum Marketers of Nigeria, Ipman. And finally, Mr. President, Chief Riyad Udin, against the management of She Limited. Petition Human Resources Director of She Limited. Mr. President, dear colleagues, to the best of my knowledge, none of the above petitioner is seeking judicial remedy. I therefore move, Mr. President, to seek the indulgence of the Senate of Federal Republic to lay the above petition before the Senate for official referral to the committee for further legislative action. I so move, Mr. President. I so move, Mr. President.
Is any of the petitioners seeking any judicial remedy? You may let the petitions, please. Clerk, Chief Whip, please, the chamber is a bit... Who stole your bus? The petitions are referred to the Committee on Ethics, Privileges, and Public Petitions to report back within 4 weeks. Leader of the Senate. Leader of the Senate.
Order. Point of order, sir.
Who's saying point of order? Point of order. Senator Michael Inachi. Senator Michael Inachi.
Thank you, Mr. President. I come under 41 and 51.
You may read.
Urgent public importance. The matter of discussion shall, if possible, be referred to the President of the Senate before commencement of the day's sitting, and the President of the Senate shall refuse to allow the claim unless he is satisfied that the matter is definite and urgent. 2. If the claim is allowed by the President of the Senate and the leave of the Senate is given by at least 1/5 of all the senators, the matter shall stand over till next legislative day. A senator moving a motion under Combined Order 41 and 51 shall ensure that copies of the motion are available for all senators when approval to move the motion is granted. Not more than one such motion may be made at a sitting, at the same sitting. 51, if I may read, sir. Notice shall not be dispensed with in the case of a motion or in respect of any other proceeding for which notice is required, except with the consent of the President of the Senate and the general assent of the senators present. I submit, Mr. President.
So give us a synopsis of the issue now.
Of a boy state.
Okay. Because we have come under orders 41 and 51, you require not only my endorsement but also the support of at least 1/5 of our colleagues. So I will put the question. Those in favor of the request of our colleague, distinguished Senator Michael Inachi, that we allow him to present his motion now, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. You may present your motion now. But before then, our new revised standing orders require that you distribute or you make available to all our colleagues the motion. Please, Secretariat, make sure every senator has. They are distributing. Okay.
Mr. President, can I go ahead?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Mr. President, Motion on landslide and erosion in Oguma and Nguzeda in Afikpo South Local Government Area, Ebonyi South Senatorial District, Ebonyi State. Sponsored by myself, Senator Michael Amanachi. The Senate notes with great concern the landslide and erosion which occurred in Ogumeda and Nguzeda, both in Afikpo South Local Government Area, Ebonyi South Senatorial District, Ebonyi State, claiming many houses. Note that the landslide and erosion were as a result of denudation and consistent torrential downpour within the area. Aware that these roads connecting the affected communities are the major roads that connect the communities with other neighboring towns, the state capital and other neighboring states, especially Abia State. Also aware that economic and commercial activities of the affected communities are in jeopardy. Even human movements are in great danger. Observe that the havoc wreaked on these communities by the landslide erosion also completely cut off sister communities, also Nguzu, Owutu, Ohafia in Abia State, and Ebu and Oguma Ekoli communities. Note that the also Owutu Nguzu Road is the only federal road which was awarded for construction since 2012, which the current Minister of Works inspected and promised that the road will be completed in 2020. But till today, the road has become a death trap. Concerned that as a result of the constant rain, the inhabitants of these communities are in grave danger after being rendered homeless and property worth millions of naira destroyed. We thought that the victims have migrated to neighboring communities to seek refuge, thereby exposing them to untold hardship, poverty, and socio-economic hazards. Accordingly, resolved to 1. Urge the Federal Minister of Works to urgently intervene by ensuring the completion of the road. 2. Urge the National Emergency Agency, NEMA, to urgently assess the affected people and send relief materials to the victims. 3. Urge the Federal Road Maintenance Agency, FEMA, to take palliative measures on the affected roads to enable the inhabitants gain access to their homes. And 4. Urge the Ecological Fund to act immediately to restore the situation in Ogumeda community landslide, as so many homes have been submerged into rubble. I so submit. Thank you, Mr. President.
Distinguished Senator Samegu.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise to support this motion, ably moved by Senator Mike Amanachi, PhD. The motion speaks for itself. The situation of the roads, in fact, the communities in that particular senatorial zone is very pathetic. Mr. President, you will also notice that, as the motion specifies, this is a federal government road for which the minister had promised to intervene, more so when that contract was awarded in 2012. Now the community is almost wiped away. The communities cannot even communicate because the road joining them have been completely eroded. So, Mr. President, I urge you, this chamber, this honored chamber, to immediately support the prayers in this motion so that the relevant agencies of government will immediately intervene. More so when this motion is seeking the intervention of federal government on this issue that is caused by the environment. Mr. President, I urge this Senate to completely agree with this motion as moved by Senator Nachi. Thank you very much.
The Leader of the Senate.
Thank you, Mr. President and distinguished colleagues. I rise to support this motion. I've had the opportunity to look at the problem of erosion in the southeast as the Director General of the Space Agency of Nigeria. We have looked at it from space using remote sensing. And I think the whole of southeast is like a disaster zone as far as erosion is concerned. And I think special attention should be given to this erosion problem. It's more serious than desertification because it affects human beings, it affects communities, it affects roads, it affects farming. And I think the relevant ministry of the federal government should take necessary and urgent steps to address the issue of erosion in the southeast. I so support. Thank you, Mr. President.
We go to the prayers. Prayer 1. Urge the Federal Ministry of Works to urgently intervene by ensuring the completion of the road. Those in favor of prayer 1 say aye. Those against say nay, say aye. Prayer 2. Urge the National Emergency Agency, NEMA, to urgently assess the affected people and send relief materials to the victims. Is it assess the people or the situation? Senator Nachi, to urgently assess the situation of the affected people and send relief materials to the victims. Is that okay? So if they say assess the condition of the people and they say they don't need relief materials, anyway, assess the situation and send the relief materials to the victims. This is your own correction. Those in favor of prayer 2 say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Prayer 3, urge the Federal Road Maintenance Agency, FEMA, to take palliative measures on the affected roads to enable the inhabitants gain access to their homes. Those in favor of prayer 3 say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. And prayer 4, urge the Ecological Fund to act immediately to restore the situation in the Guma Eda community landslide, as so many homes have been submerged into rubbles. Those in favor of this prayer say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Leader of the Senate.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, the first business of the day is the presentation of the House bill standing in my name on the Petitions Council of Nigeria Establishment Bill 2022. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of Senate to read this short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, the Petitions Council of Nigeria Establishment Bill 2022, HB 515, first reading.
The Petitions Council of Nigeria Establishment Bill 2022, HB 515, first reading taken. The Leader of the Senate.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, the second business of the day is also the presentation of House Bill standing in my name on the Nigerian Institute of International Affairs Act Repeal and Reenactment Bill 2022. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Nigerian Institute of International Affairs Act, Repeal and Reenactment Bill 2022, HB 1279, first reading.
Nigerian Institute of International Affairs Act, Repeal and Reenactment Bill 2022, HB 1279, first reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, the third business of the day is the presentation of a bill standing in the name of Senator Chukwuka Utazi on the Administration of Criminal Justice Act, Amendment Bill 2022. The President may wish to invite the Clerk of Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Administration of Criminal Justice Act Amendment Bill 2022, SB 1037, first reading.
Administration of Criminal Justice Act Amendment Bill 2022, SB 1037, first reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
Thank you, Mr. President. The fifth business of the day is the presentation of a bill standing in the name of Senator Nora Ladi Dadut on the Agricultural Research Council of Nigeria Amendment Bill 2022. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of Senate to read the short title of the bill.
It's supposed to be number 4, rotation of power bill.
Of the day is a presentation of a bill standing in the name of Senator Abamoru on the rotation of power bill 2022. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Rotation of Power Bill 2022, SB 1040, first reading.
Rotation of Power Bill 2022, SB 1040, first reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
Thank you, Mr. President. The fifth business of the day is the presentation of a bill standing in the name of Senator Nora Ladi Dadut on the Agricultural Research Council of Nigeria Amendment Bill 2022. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Agricultural Research Council of Nigeria Amendment Bill 2022, SB 1041, first reading.
Agricultural Research Council of Nigeria Amendment Bill 2022, SB 1041, first reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
Thank you, Mr. President. The first order of the day is a motion standing in my name on the recommittal on the following bills to the Committee of the Whole. 1. National Oil Spill Detection and Response Agency Act Number 15, 2006, Amendment B 2022. 2. Institute of Agriculturist Establishment Bill 2022. And 3. Public Interest Disclosure and Complex Enactment Bill 2022. Mr. President, with the permission, I wish to move the motion.
You may proceed.
On the House of Representatives and were transmitted to the Clerk of National Assembly for onward transmission to the President and Commander-in-Chief for assent. The bills are the National Oil Spill Detection and Response Agency Act Number 15, 2006, Amendment Bill. 2. Institute of Agriculturist Establishment Bill, and 3, Public Interest Disclosure and Complaints Enactment Bill. Senate observes that some fundamental issues which require fresh legislative action by both chambers of the National Assembly emerged after a critical analysis of the bill by President and Commander-in-Chief. Senate is aware that the Technical Committee of Senate and House of Representatives and Directorate of Legal Services met and worked on the bills. Senate relying on Order 1B and Order 52.6 of Senate Standing Order 2022 accordingly resolved to rescind the decision on the bills as passed and recommend same to the Committee of the Whole for reconsideration and passage. I so move.
Clerk, Minority Leader.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I rise to second the motion that these 3 bills be now committed to the Committee of the Whole.
Minority Leader. What is the Chief Whip? Minority Leader, you second the recommittal, not Committee of the Whole first. Recommittal. You should second the recommittal. No, he is supposed to move for the recommittal, and you are supposed to second that. And then we move to the Committee of the Whole. What is seconded is the recommittal.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I rise once again to second the motion that we recommit these 3 bills. I so second.
Thank you very much. Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Committee of the Whole, Leader.
Yes. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, in accordance with Order 1B and 52.6, I move that the bill be referred to Committee of Whole. I so move.
Minority Leader.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I rise to second this motion that these bills be now committed to the Committee of the Whole. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion that the Senate resolution to Committee of the Whole to consider the report, say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Distinguished colleagues, this bill has 13 clauses. Those in favor that clause 1, clause 2, clause 3, clause 4, clause 5, on page 3, clause 6, clause 7, clause 8, clause 9, and clause 10 stand part of the bill, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Those who are at clause 11 stands part of the bill, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Those who are at the interpretation on page 12 stands part of the bill, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Those who are at the schedule stands part of the bill, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Those who are at clause, the short title on page 14 stands part of the bill, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Those who are at the explanatory memorandum stands part of the bill, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. The second report, Institute of Agriculturalists. Those in favor at clause 1, clause 2, clause 3, clause 4, clause 5, all retain, clause 6, clause 7, clause 8, clause 9, clause 10, stand part of the bill, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Those who are at clause 11, clause 12, clause 13, clause 14, clause 15, expenditure of the Institute on page 7, clause 16, clause 17, clause 18, clause 19, clause 20, stands part of the bill, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Those who are at clause 21, records on page 8, clause 22, clause 23, clause 24, clause 25, clause 26, clause 27, clause 28, clause 29, clause 30 stands part of the bill, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Those who are at clause 31, establishment of the Nigerian Institute of Agriculturalists Investigative Panel on page 11, clause 22, 32, clause 33, clause 34, clause 35, clause 36, clause 37, clause 38, clause 39, and clause 40 stand part of the bill, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Those who are at clause 41 and clause 42 stand part of the bill, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Those who are at the interpretation stands part of the bill, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Those who are at the short title on page 14 stands part of the bill, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Those who are at the schedule on page 14 stands part of the bill, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Those who are at the explanatory memorandum stands part of the bill, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. The last report, public interest disclosure and complaints. Those who are at clause 1, clause 2, clause 3, clause 4, clause 5, clause 6, clause 7, clause 8, clause 9, clause 10 stand part of the bill, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Those who are at clause 11, clause 12, clause 13, clause 14, clause 15, clause 16, clause 17, clause 18, clause 19, and clause 20 stand part of the bill, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Those who are at clause 21, those who are at clause 21, clause 22, clause 23, clause 24, clause 25, Clause 26, Clause 27, Clause 28, Clause 29, Clause 30 stand part of the bill, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Clause 31, structure of the commission on page 14. Those who vote at Clause 31, Clause 32, fund of the commission, Clause 33, expenditure of the commission, Clause 34, Clause 35, Clause 36, Clause 37, Clause 38, Clause 39, Clause 40, stand part of the bill, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Those who vote at Clause 41 on page 16, Clause 42, Clause 43, Clause 44, Clause 45, Clause 46, Clause 47, Clause 48, Clause 49, Clause 50, stand part of the bill, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Those who are at Clause 51, Clause 52, Clause 53, Clause 54, Clause 55, stand part of the bill, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Those who are at interpretation on page 20, stands part of the bill, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Those who are at the short title, stands part of the bill, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Those who are at the schedule, stands part of the bill, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Those who are at the explanatory memorandum, stands part of the bill, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Leader of the Senate.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I move that the Senate revert to plenary session for Mr. President to report progress.
Minority Leader.
Mr. Chair, distinguished colleagues, I rise to second the motion that the chair revert to plenary to report progress. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor that the Senate reverse to plenary for the chair to report progress, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. The Senate, in the Committee of the Whole, considered the National Oil Spill Detection and Response Agency Act number 2006 Amendment Bill 2022 and approved as follows. Long title as recommended. Clause 1 to 10 as recommended. Interpretation as recommended. Clause 12 as recommended. Short title as recommended. Schedule as recommended. Explanatory memorandum as recommended. Is this a true reflection of what transpired in the Committee of the Whole? Thank you. The Senate, in the Committee of the Whole, also considered the report of the Institute of Agriculturalists Establishment Bill 2022 and approved as follows. Long title as recommended. Clause 1 to 42 as recommended. Interpretation as recommended. Short title as recommended. Schedule as recommended. Explanatory memorandum as recommended. Is this a true reflection of what transpired in the Committee of the Whole? Thank you. The Senate, in the Committee of the Whole, also considered the Public Interest Disclosure and Compliance Enactment Bill 2022 and approved as follows. Long title as recommended. Clause 1 to 55 as recommended. Interpretation as recommended. Short title as recommended. Schedule as recommended. Explanatory memorandum as recommended. Is this a true reflection of what transpired in the Committee of the Whole? Thank you, Leader of the Senate.
Thank you, Mr. President. The second order of the day. Yeah? Oh, okay. Mr. President, the three colleagues, I now move that the bill be read the third time. I so move.
Minority Leader.
I rise to second the motion as ably moved by the Senate Leader. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion that these three bills be now read the third time, say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to amend the National Oil Spill Detection and Response Agency Establishment Act No. 15, 2006, to provide statutory power for the agency to charge adequate fines, introduce criminal offenses and penalties, to ensure compliance with existing environmental legislation in the petroleum sector, and for related matters. Third reading. Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to establish the Nigerian Institute of Agriculturists to be charged with the responsibilities of setting standards and code of ethics for effective control and management of the profession of agriculture and for related matters. Third reading. Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to repeal the Public Complaints Commission Act, Cap. 37, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, and enact the Public Complaints Commission Act 2022 for the establishment of the Public Complaints Commission with wide powers to inquire into complaints by members of the public concerning the administrative actions of any public authority and companies or their officials, and to provide a legal framework for making public interest disclosure from whistleblowers and for related matters. 2022. Third reading.
A bill for an act to amend the National Oil Spill Detection and Response Agency Establishment Act No. 15, 2006, to provide statutory power for the agency to charge adequate fines, introduce criminal offenses and penalties to ensure compliance with existing environmental legislation in the petroleum sector, and for related matters. 2022, third reading taken, and the bill is passed. A bill for an act to establish the Nigerian Institute of Agriculturists to be charged with the responsibilities of setting standards and code of ethics for effective control and management of the profession of agriculture and for related matters. 2022, third reading taken, and the bill is also passed. A bill for an act to repeal the Public Complaints Commission Act, Cap. 37, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, and enact the Public Complaints Commission Act 2022 for the establishment of the Public Complaints Commission with wide powers to inquire into complaints by members of the public concerning the administrative actions of any public authority and companies or their officials, and to provide a legal framework for making public interest disclosure from whistleblowers and for other matters. 2022, third reading taken, and this bill is also passed. Leader of the Senate.
Thank you, Mr. President. The second order of the day is the reading of the Federal High Court Act Amendment Bill 2022. Distinguished senators will recall that the bill was read the first time in this chamber on Wednesday, 28th of July, 2022. Mr. President, you may wish to invite Senator Augustine Ovia Umagege to move the motion for the bill to be read a second time.
Sorry?
Read a second time.
The lead debate copies. Okay, we'll stand it down. Okay, leader, go ahead, move the motion for.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I rise to second the motion that this bill be now stepped down to another legislative day. I so second.
Thank you very much, Minority Leader. Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion that this bill be stood down till another legislative day, say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Leader of the Senate.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, the third order of the day is the second reading of the Hydroelectric Power Producing Areas Development Commission Hyperdeck Act 2010, Amendment Bill 2022. Distinguished senators, you will recall that the bill was read the first time in this chamber on Tuesday, 8th of June, 2021. Mr. President, you may wish to invite Senator Suleiman Sadiq Umar to move the motion for the bill to be read the second time.
Distinguished Senator Sadiq Suleiman Umar, Kwara North.
Thank you, Mr. President. My distinguished colleagues, I am Sadiq Suleiman Umar. I represent the good and decent people of Kwara North and who are. Mr. President, I rise to lead the debate on the Hydroelectric Power Producing Area Development Commission, Hyperdeck Act 2010 Amendment B 2022, SB 742. Mr. President, my distinguished colleagues, permit me to lead this debate of a very important bill which seeks to amend the Hydroelectric Power Producing Area Development Commission Establishment Act 2010. The bill was read for the first time in this hallowed chamber on Tuesday, 8 June 2021. The Hydroelectric Power Producing Area Development Commission Establishment Act 2010 was established as a fund under Section 14(1) of the Act to enable Hyperdeck fund and perform its statutory responsibilities. Section 14(2)(a) to D of the Act specify 4 different sources for the maintenance of the fund. Of particular relevance to the subject matter of this amendment is 14(2)(a) of the Act. Section 14(2)(a) of the Hyperdeck Act goes thus: there shall be paid and credited to the fund established pursuant to subsection 1 of this section, A, 30% of the total revenue generated by any company or authority from the operation of any hydroelectric dams in any member state of the Commission. It is clear from the above provisions that the responsibility for the payment to the Hyperdeck Fund is on any company or authority operating in any of the hydroelectric dams understood to be the GENCOs, and that the rate payable is 30% of the total revenue generated. The above provision was amended in 2013 by Section 3 of the Hyperdeck Amendment Act 2013, which provides that Section 14(2) of the Principal Act is amended by substituting for paragraph A a new paragraph A. 10% of the total federal government's revenue derived from concessioning of the hydro plants and royalties paid to the federal government. The above 2013 Amendment Act introduced 2 major changes to the Principal Act of 2010. The first is that the rate of payment to the fund was reduced from 30% to 10%. The second is that 10% payment will be made by the federal government from the revenue it derived from the concessioning of the hydro plant as well as the royalty paid thereon. In other words, the burden of payment to the Hyperdeck Fund, which was previously on the GENCOs, under the 2013 Amendment Act at a reduced rate of 10%. It follows from the foregoing, therefore, that new Section 14(2)(a) of the 2013 Amendment Act, which provides for 10% rate payable by the federal government, has cancelled and replaced the old Section 14(2)(a) of the Principal Act, which provided for 30% payable by the GENCOs. The ultimate effect is that Section 3 of 2013 Amendment Act has effectively repealed Section 14(2)(a) of the Principal Hyperdebt Act. However, in 2018, a further amendment was made in relation to this provision via Section 3 of the Hyperdebt Establishment Act, Amendment Act 2018. This section also provides that Section 14(2) of the Principal Act is amended by substituting for the 30% in line 1 the figures 10. The above provisions of Section 3 of 2018 Amendment Act imprecise, misdirected, vague, and ultimately ineffectual. Below are my reasons. A, the specific object and target of the amendment is paragraph A of subsection 14(2) of the Act. However, the wording of the provision appears to suggest that the entirety of subsection 14(2) of the Act was object of the amendment. In this regard, distinguished colleagues, it is instructive to know that subsection 14(2) is merely an opening general provision which introduces the different sources for the maintenance of hyperdebt fund under paragraphs A to D. It states, and I quote, 2, there shall be paid and credited to the fund established pursuant to subsection 1 of this section. Thus, apart from paragraph A, there are paragraphs B, dealing with 50% of money due to member states of hyperdebt from the ecological funds. C, dealing with money raised for the purpose of functions of the hyperdebt by way of gifts, loans, grants in aid, testamentary disposition, or otherwise. And D, dealing with proceeds from all other assets may from time to time accrue to hyperdebt. It is therefore a misdirection and critical error that Section 3 of 2018 Amendment Act reference a general subsection, Section 14(2), when a specific paragraph A was obviously intended and object of the amendment. B, another critical misdirection under Section 3 of the 2018 Amendment Act is the imprecise and wrong reference to figures 30 in line 1 of Section 14(2) of the Hyperdebt Act. This is a major error because there is no figure 30 in line 1 of subsection 14(2) of the Act. Figure 30 was only in line 1 of the paragraph A of subsection 14(2) of the Principal Act of 2010, which has been repealed. C, most importantly, the target and object of the 2018 Amendment Act ought to be the changes introduced in 2013 Amendment Act and not the repealed provision in the Principal Act of 2010, which has ceased to exist. The 2013 Amendment has effect of repealing 14(2)(a) of 2010 Act. Thus, consequent upon the repeal of 14(2)(a) of the 2010 Act by 2013 Amendment Act, the only figure to be substituted under 14(2)(a) of the Act is figure 10 and not 30. I repeat, figure 10 and not 30. Following from the above, I am inclined to observe that the amendment of 2018 fell short of the change it introduced under Section 3 of 2013 Amendment Act during its attempt to further amend 14(2)(a) of the Act in 2018. The implication of this inadvertence is that Section 3 of the Hyperdebt Establishment Act, Amendment Act 2018, is vague and ineffectual as it purports to amend a non-existing law, that is, a repealed paragraph of a subsection. Mr. President, my distinguished colleagues, this bill seeks to address and cure the inadvertence of Section 3 of the 2018 Amendment, which had hindered the optimal operation of commissions since then. In conclusion, the amendment being proposed here, simply, straightforward, and to all intent and purposes, must beneficial to development the upper hydroelectric power producing areas. It therefore requires your immediate attention, and I have no hesitation in praying that you give it the expeditious attention it deserves. Thank you for listening, and thank you for the opportunity, Mr. President.
Distinguished Senator Ibrahim Hadeja.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Ibrahim Hadeja, Jigawa Northeast. Mr. President, I rise to support my most distinguished colleague, Senator Umar Sadiq Suleiman, on the debate for the amendment of the Hydroelectric Power Producing Areas Development Commission Act 2010. For the simple reason, Mr. President, that this amendment is not introducing anything new, but serves to correct a legal anomaly in the original act, which, if left in its ambiguous state, will lead to misapplication when it comes to the actual application of the original act. So, Mr. President, there is nothing new, but it's simply an attempt to remove some ambiguity and make the act workable. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
Distinguished Senator Sabi Ali Abdullahi.
Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. I'm Aliu Sabi Abdullahi. I'm from Niger North, Niger State. Mr. President, let me commend my brother, distinguished Senator Suleiman Sadiq, for coming up with this, error, for it to be given some legislative cure. Mr. President, this is a very simple and straightforward issue, because when the bill was passed in 2010, one of the sources of fund was that amount of money that will come from GENCOs, which was put at 30%. And as a result of consultation with the critical stakeholders, the issue of implementation as in terms of the fund, or 30% being too high, was raised. So the 2018 amendment was specifically designed actually to bring down the 30% to 10%. But of course, from the submission by the sponsor of this bill, it is obvious that there are some technical issues, maybe as a result of the drafting or so. And I think it has now made the new provision ineffectual as reported in this lead debate. So, Mr. President, this is something that needs to be cured, and I believe it is intended to ensure that the hydropower producing areas, the communities, are able to benefit from expeditiously make this correction, so that this particular payment will continue to accrue to IPADEC for them to do the good work they are intended or designed to do for the hydropower producing areas communities. Mr. President, with these few comments, I support the second reading of this bill and also urge that we give it all the expeditious attention so that it is passed for the better implementation of the bill. I so move, Mr. President.
Senator Sani Musa.
Thank you, Mr. President. My name is Muhammad Sani Musa, Niger East. I stand to support this bill wholeheartedly because HYPADEC and the power producing states are being cheated, especially by the GENCOs. The GENCOs are every day receiving money from the federal government in the name of producing energy, producing power, giving power to the discos. But today, HYPADEC is just a parastat.
Chief, distinguished Senator, please, distinguished colleagues, let's take our seats and listen to our colleagues in silence.
Mr. President, my distinguished colleagues, today HYPADEC is just standing as a parastatal with no functions. They've been in existence, but nobody is feeling the impact because they have not been able to get any revenue to discharge their responsibilities. to those communities. They cannot execute their mandate. As such, what distinguished colleague has brought in here is for us to mandate all those relevant agencies to do the needful. And this needful is by government paying to Hyperdeck 30% all the generated revenue accruing from power generation. Thank you, Mr. President.
Distinguished Senator Ahmad Babakaita.
I rise to second the motion and move.
Distinguished colleagues, is there anybody against this bill? Those in favor that this bill be now read the second time, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to amend the Hydroelectric Power Producing Areas Development Commission, Hyperdeck, and for other related matters, 2022. Second reading.
A bill for an act to amend the Hydroelectric Power Producing Areas Development Commission, Hyperdeck, Act 2010, and for other related matters there to 2022, second reading taken. And the bill is referred to the Committee on Power for further legislative action to report by within 4 weeks. Leader of the Senate.
Thank you, Mr. President. The first order of the day is the second reading of the Patent and Design Act Cap P2 LFN 2004 Repeat and Reenactment Bill 2022. Distinguished senators will recall that the bill was read the first time in this chamber on Wednesday, 15 December 2021. Mr. President, you may wish to invite Senator Ibikunle Amosu to move the motion for the bill to be read the second time.
Distinguished Senator Ibikunle Oyelaja Amosun Oyelaka. Oyelaja.
You are correct.
Ogun Central.
Thank you, Mr. President. Ibikunle Amosun, I represent Ogun Central Senatorial District. Mr. President, Ibikunle Amosun, I represent Ogun Central Senatorial District. Let me respectively move the motion to lead the debate. The mic, I think it's working, to lead the debate on the Patents and Design Act Cap P2 LFN 2004. I so move, Mr. President. Mr. President, I so move, Mr. President.
You may proceed, please. Senator Adetumbi, don't disturb Senator.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, permit me to lead the debate on the Patents and Design Act Repeat and Reenactment Bill 2021. You will recall that this bill was read for the first time in this chamber on Wednesday, 15 December 2021. The bill seeks to repeal the Patent and Design Act and reenact the Patent and Design Act 2021 to make provision in respect of future patents and applications for patents for the protection of inventions and to give effect to certain international conventions on patents. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, the existing legislation on the Patents and Design Act is inherently inadequate to meet the needs of a modern society. Nigeria is a global village that must be in tune with what obtains in other developing nations, especially in the areas of innovation and technology advancement. Consequently, robust laws need to be enacted to strengthen the existing laws in line with the Senate progressive legislative agenda. This will facilitate the inclusion of advanced technologies and the stimulation of domestic innovative activity that will contribute to the development of Nigeria and place Nigeria firmly on the world map. The need to reform and revise intellectual property law, of which the Patent Bill is a part of, will provide the necessary impetus that will place Nigeria firmly within the world economic environment. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, intellectual property rights, in a nutshell, are exclusive rights that are conferred by law to an individual, enterprise, corporation, or entity for the product of that individual, enterprise, or corporation for the purpose of his or its intellectual property. Intellectual property comes in different forms, including scientific interventions, industrial design, science of a purely commercial value or trademark, trade secrets, literary works, as well as musical work. Intellectual property law confers on the individual the exclusive right of exploiting, assigning, transmitting, and contracting out the creation of his or her intellect. Those creations will have to be expressed in a legally admissive format and in some cases are subject to registration procedures. Similarly, in the same way that the law provides protection for a person who owns land, a car, or any other items, intellectual property right provides protection for the exclusive exploitation, assignment, transmission, and contracting out of novel creation of the intellect. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, the Patent Bill is designed to enhance the quality of life for all of us in Nigeria. It is a helpful precondition to creating technology that will boost economic growth and aid development. A strong system of intellectual property rights is indispensable to the technological development and advancement of our nation. The Patents and Design Act Cap P2 LFN 2004, Repeal and Enactment Bill 2021, seeks to protect intellectual property rights by setting up a framework for civil and judicial procedures, by providing impetus to scientific and technological development, as well as the rapid industrial growth of our country, which is presently heavily dependent on oil and gas. This bill also gives us the opportunity for our country as a member of the International Union for the protection of industrial property to secure maximum benefit from being party to what is known as the Patent Cooperation Treaty 1970, to which Nigeria has become a signatory. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, permit me to add that this bill is a significant requirement for the improvement in the attractiveness of Nigeria as an investment location. Its implementation is a requirement for deepening trade relations in the global marketplace. It will promote a self-sustaining system, thereby contributing to the national treasury. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, as already indicated in the existing legislation, this bill makes provision in respect of future patents and application for patents for the protection of inventions and to give effect to certain international conventions on patents. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I urge this distinguished Senate to support this bill for second reading. I thank you. I so move, Mr. President.
Distinguished Senator Barrow Jibrin.
Thank you, Mr. President. I am Barrow Jibrin. I represent Kano North. Mr. President, permit me to commend the sponsor of this bill for bringing it forward for legislation. Mr. President, we are all aware that every country needs to protect owners of intellectual properties. inventors, and the likes. Once they bring out their innovations, there's the need to have their rights protected. A situation where one's intellectual property is being taken away or exploited without the consent of such person or entity is something that will not go well for any economy at all. And that's what this bill wants to actualize in this country, to make sure that intellectual properties of individual companies are well protected. It's something that's in tandem with what is happening all over the world. Every established economy, every up and doing economy must have a mechanism in place to protect the intellectual properties of individuals and corporate entities that are able to churn out innovations or any rights at all, either musical rights, either any right at all. So this is very, very, very important. Therefore, what do we need to do? We need to give our fullest support to this bill. It will not only help to allow or to encourage people to bring out their intellectual properties for the benefit of themselves and the entire society, but also attract foreigners to come into this country to display their God-given talents for the benefit of the entire country. I commend the sponsor, and there's the need we all support this bill so that we can get it, passed in order for the bill to help in building our economy for the benefit of our entire nation and indeed all and sundry. Mr. President, I so submit.
Deputy Chief Whip.
Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. I am Aliu Sabi Abdullahi, Niger North. Mr. President, let me join the previous speaker to congratulate distinguished Senator Ibikule Amosu for this very wonderful and thoughtful bill. Mr. President, the global economy today is driven by creativity and innovation. And one of the key enablers of such an economy is the issue of copyright and patent. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, it is not possible for people who use their God-given talents of creativity to find themselves being shortchanged by some people who steal these technologies or innovation. And I think what is called intellectual property rights arising from their creativity and innovation. And investors the world over are concerned about when they put in money to generate new technology or solution, how they are going to be able to appropriate the benefits from that technology. And that is where the regime of intellectual property rights come in. So, Mr. President, this is a straightforward thing. Strengthening the intellectual property right law in this country through this amendment. We encourage creativity among our young Nigerians. Just recently, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, we passed the startup bill in this chamber. That startup bill is designed to support and promote Nigerians who have creativity. And one of the impediments this bill seeks to cure. So, Mr. President, this is a well-thought-out bill, and we should give it all the expeditious attention it deserves, so that as Nigerians are encouraged to come up with enterprising and innovative enterprise, they have behind them a very strong IPR law that is supporting what they do. Mr. President, I commend and support this bill and urge my colleagues to give it all the necessary attention and support. Thank you.
Senator Bala Ibn Allah.
Thank you very much, Mr. President, and my distinguished colleagues. As Senator Sabi rightly pointed out, the whole idea about the desire to protect innovations and intellectual property is that someone should be able to say that if I invest so amount in the innovation of so product, I should have some respite by making sure that there is a law that protects me from someone else stealing that innovation from me. And therefore, based on that, I can develop it. That's the first leg. But the second leg, with due respect, has to do with the administration of this particular area of our law. As it stands today, the Copyright Commission is under the Federal Ministry of Justice. And there is a full-fledged Copyright Commission, I think with a DG or something of sort. Now, in their function so far, and their observations in their inability to protect the corporate rights of people who have made innovations, the observation has always been that there is no specific power on that commission to act decisively against those who steal this intellectual property. And what is left is that people are left to go to court. And with our slow judicial system, it's more often being abused, to frustrate the necessary intent of this law. So when this bill is eventually referred to the committee, it may be ingenious enough to require them to come up with an additional provision that will confer specific powers on the Copyright Commission to act either by way of sanction or such other powers that may be conferred upon it to give it the yes to adequately protect this. Otherwise, it will be an exercise in futility because we have the good laws in place, then the commission charged with that responsibility does not have the power to do so. I have read in the brief on this bill, I have not seen anywhere where that power is specifically conferred on the Copyright Commission to sanction with some degree of finality acts of stealing corporate intellectual rights. So I think that when this bill is referred to the committee should do a more thorough job by making sure that Copyright Commission is called and then a decisive provision is inserted so that it will make it convenient for them for the administration of this law. Otherwise, it will be that the law is made and then the implementation becomes something else. And that has always been the bane of our situation. We make the laws and then those charged with the responsibility to implement them are not being called to question. And if they don't do that, then we cannot continue to get the necessary utility in enacting these laws. So once again, I thank my brother, my friend, distinguished Senator Amosun Oyelaja for bringing this very important bill. Thank you very much.
Those in favor that this bill will now read the second time, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to repeal the Patent and Design Act, Cap. 2, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, and enact the Patent Act 2022 to provide for the protection of inventions and other related matters 2022, second reading.
A bill for an act to repeal the Patent and Design Act, Cap. 2, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, and enact the Patent Act 2022 to provide for the protection of inventions and other related matters 2022, second reading taken. And the bill is referred to the Committee on Trade and Investments to report back within 4 weeks. Leader of the Senate.
Thank you, Mr. President. The fifth order of the day is the second reading of the National Poverty Alleviation Management Commission Establishment Bill 2022. Distinguished senators will recall that the bill was read the first time in this chamber on Wednesday, 19th January 2022. Mr. President, you may wish to invite Senator Kabir back here to move the motion for the bill to be read a second time.
Distinguished Senator Kabir Barkia.
Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. I'm Senator Engineer Kabir Abdullahi Barkia, representing Katsina Central. Mr. President, I rise to lead a debate, second reading of a bill for an act to establish National Poverty Alleviation Management Commission to be saddled with the responsibility of coordinating and regulating all forms of poverty alleviation funds and other related matters in Nigeria. I so move. Mr. President, permit me to lead the debate. Mr. President of the Senate and distinguished colleagues, it is with utmost gratitude and humility that I rise to present this important late debate on the most crucial bill, which was first read on 19th January 2022 on this honored chamber, and when passed into law, will have tremendous and vital impact on the reduction of poverty level ravaging the majority of Nigerian citizens in the country, especially on the poor masses who find life extremely difficult to keep themselves, including the members of their various families, but through the proper and efficient management of the Poverty Alleviation Fund and its control mechanism and regulation by statutory body will remedy the poverty rate in our dear nation. Mr. President of the Senate and distinguished colleagues, it is imperative to note that passage of this bill will effectively and efficiently regulate all forms of funds provided to alleviate poverty in the land, especially to remedy the suffering of our citizens. This affirmation fund could be granted by the government or international donations and the local donations in order to minimize the high level of hardship that people go through within the country. As this innovative trend through the passage of this bill will reflect the global best practice as the United States social security welfare to citizens, including other countries practicing constitutional democracy. Scientific contribution of the bill to content of the bill. Below is the summary of this bill as follows. Part 1, the bill seeks to establish the National Fund of Nigeria as statutory corporation. 2, the bill provides for the governing board of the commission, its composition and function. 3, the bill provides effective and efficient regulation of all forms of poverty alleviation funds provided by the government, foreign and local donors, and its proper management and distribution to reach the targeted poor masses in actualization of the core mandate. 4, the bill seeks to provide for an effective structure for the management of the commission, staffing and funding for the commissions. 5, the bill provides for effective monitoring, evaluation, regulation, and control of all poverty alleviation funds in Nigeria, especially contains the miscellaneous provisions of bill, such as power to make regulations, offenses and penalties, and power to give directives, etc. Objective of the bill. The bill will assist the court of law and other judicial bodies in ensuring all poverty alleviation funds from the government, local and international donations finally reach the targeted poor masses who desire to access the funds in order to alleviate their suffering. 2. The bill will effectively coordinate all the proper documentation capturing of the beneficiaries as to curb manipulation. 3. The bill will effectively step up the international standard for disbursing of the funds as to eschew bribery and corruption on the process. 4. The bill will effectively reduce the youth passiveness emanating from poverty and unemployment by assessing the fund through transparent manner in order to achieve the core objective. 5. The bill will essentially and effectively address the overlapping conduct of poverty alleviation fund distribution as agitated by the poor masses in 2022 during COVID-19 lockdown palliative and 2021 who were unable to access funds in excuse for not reflecting the federal objective principle. 6. The bill will achieve comparative trend and international best practice in the management and total regulatory of poverty alleviation funds accruable to the Commission for proper disbursement, capturing content and addresses to the concerned citizens. The bill presents undeniable realities in the need to regulate all the funds donated locally and internationally in order to speed up the reduction of poverty rate in Nigeria as to cushion the effect of COVID-19 that increases of the poverty rate in Nigeria. According to UNICEF report on high poverty rate in Nigeria, it is important to note that in 2019, 50.3 million Nigerians were living in abject poverty. And 2022, 70.5 million Nigerians citizens lived in poverty, and in 2021, 85.6 million people in Nigeria lived in poverty, while in 2022, as of June, 79.9 million Nigerians are living in poverty. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, you can attest to the fact that there's hardship in the land, and the government efforts could not be properly managed by few people to reach the poor, and it seems not to be enough because there was no statutory institution charged with the responsibility to handle the poverty alleviation funds for proper disbursement in order to achieve the utmost desired result, which this bill will achieve through your distinguished collective support by passing through. Conclusion. Mr. President of the Senate, the distinguished colleagues, I am very grateful for the opportunity given to me to lead this debate of the crucial bill. Accordingly, I believe that all distinguished senators of the 9th National Assembly will vigorously support and vote for the passage of this bill. Thank you, Mr. President and distinguished my fellow distinguished colleagues. We join hands together to build this country. Thank you very much, sir.
Distinguished Senator Muhammad Adamu Alero.
Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. I remain Muhammad Adamu Alero, representing KB Central. Mr. President, I rise to second the second reading of this very important bill, that National Poverty Alleviation Program. Mr. President, poverty in Nigeria has reached an alarming proportion to the extent that in some states, well over 80% of the population are living in abject poverty. And billions of naira have been budgeted annually for poverty eradication or alleviation, but it doesn't reach the actual people it's supposed to reach. It is for this reason that I stand to support the second reading of this important bill. And not only that, Mr. President, we have several government agencies that are involved in poverty alleviation. Between 2020, 2021, 2022, we have over 10 poverty alleviation programs being run by different government agencies. have social investment program where we budgeted over 500 billion naira. The Ministry of Trade and Investment was involved in poverty eradication through what they call COVID intervention, where they spent close to about 100 billion naira. Ministry of Agriculture was equally involved, where billions of naira have been spent in purchasing food items and be distributed to various states of the Federation. Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, at one time, the minister came and said she spent well over 24 billion naira within 3 days. So the Central Bank of Nigeria is equally involved in giving out COVID-19 palliatives, where individuals were given up to 2.5 million naira. Some got 500 million naira in form of soft loans or just a relief package given to them in order to alleviate poverty. Mr. President, all these programs are uncoordinated, and at times they come in haphazard manner. So there is need really to coordinate them for effective, impact on the people. If we don't do that, I don't see how we can get 100 million people out of poverty in Nigeria within the next 3 to 4 years. This is what the government is saying. Billions is coming out, but it doesn't reach the actual people it's supposed to reach. So this is why I commend my colleague, brother, Senator Kabir Berkia, for bringing this bill. It's meant to protect public funds. And the National Assembly is the repository. Is supposed to be the protector of public funds. And for that reason, Mr. President, I urge all my colleagues to support the second reading of this important bill. I support my President.
Distinguished Senator George Thompson Sekibo, Rivers East.
Thank you, Mr. Senior President and my distinguished colleagues. I am Senator George Thompson Sekibo, Commander of the Order of the Night. Mr. President, this bill is very apt and very important. One of the major problems we are having in the country, just two main problems. The first is insecurity. The second one that is so deadly is poverty. And so whatever we can do to assist our people to make our constituents to come out of poverty, we will encourage. And that is why I congratulate my colleague, Senator Kabiru Abdullahi Takia, for coming up with this bill. Mr. President, just as Senator Alero have said, this government, in one area they have done well is poverty alleviation. I say so because they have brought in money from 2020, 2021, and now. But what is alleviation? If you are alleviating a process, there are two ways. Somebody is hungry, you give him money to eat and come out of hunger. That does not take away poverty. But somebody is poor, is hungry, you give him money to do something, to multiply the money and to take care of himself. That alleviates poverty. Virtually all the funds that have been released from that period to now were not supervised because there is no coordinating person to supervise them. You give somebody 2.5 million, you give somebody 3 million, 5 million. No one supervises how that money is used. The money is used mostly for rice, beans, tomato, pepper, and garri. That is not the purpose for that money. The purpose for that money is to assist the person come out of that state. Now, when you use the money 2.5, maybe in 6 months, maybe in 8 months, and it got finished, he returned back to poverty again. But if we have a commission that will coordinate the activities and through which all poverty programs will be handled, it means they have to get an aspect, a department for training, a department for monitoring. So before you give money to somebody for something, you must know why you are giving him the money, what the money must be used for. It's not to buy cloth, it's not to buy a vehicle, it's not to go and marry a new wife. No, but it's to use to multiply itself. And then you have a team that will monitor the use of that money, whether it is succeeding or not. We can start with an empirical system, like a study of maybe just 100, 200 persons in the country, and if it is properly done, we will see the multiplier effect. There is no way, like in India, where they have small mini industries. Somebody has 10 million naira and is just canning seafood. That is a good business. You can your seafood somewhere and bring it here to sell. But if there's no coordination, give somebody 10 million naira now. After a few months, that money just will go down the drain. So, Mr. President, I am supporting it because National Poverty Alleviation Management Commission will mean that they will not just give money for people to go and eat and then finish the money. But they will give money to people, they will manage them, they will train them to come out of poverty. So I put in my voice to support the bill. Thank you very much.
Distinguished Senator Christopher Stephen Ekpeyong, Akwa Ibom Northwest.
Thank you, Mr. Senate President, and my distinguished colleague. I remain Senator Christopher Stephen Ekpeyong, representing Akwa Ibom Northwest. Mr. President and my distinguished colleague, this is a very beautiful, people-oriented bill that if passed by this Senate, it will actually liberate the poverty of our people. Mr. President, I thank you for making me to be a member of the Poverty Alleviation Committee of the Senate. By that extension, I have seen the enormous resources that have been pumped into the Ministry of Humanitarian, of course, services, and then, of course, the other activities that ministry handles. But then, it lacks supervision. The money does not go into the poorest of the poor. And of course, establishing this commission that is being proposed by my distinguished colleague Kabiru, it will go a long way in the sense that cooperative is a sine qua non medium of changing the poverty condition of the people. It's not just by giving people market money, 5,000 naira. What does 5,000 naira do? When people will come to the press and say 5,000 has helped me to make a character.